Hey, welcome to Know and Sell Pointers. And this is a session on improv. Did you ever think, Hirsch? Yeah, your eyes just got big, right?
Woo! Yeah.
Share about your background because I actually don't even know all your background as an improv person.
Oh, that's funny. Well, the background is in comedy. Um, I've done stand-up comedy since I was, my early 20s in New York, going to School of Visual Arts. Um, and I also joined an improv troupe in New York during that time. And one of the things that I love about and Yes Brand, my podcast, is based on the yes and rule of of improv, which is that your scene partner will make an offer to you, and it may be crazy, but you're going to accept it because it's what makes the scene work. And that is what I have done in my whole career is make the scene work. Somebody comes to me with an idea, and it's their passion, it's their brand, it's what they want to accomplish, and how they accomplish it is where we come in. Nancy, we help them build their brand, we help them, achieve the sales results they're looking for, but they have to start with what they're working with. And it's almost like I never thought of this, Nancy, but it's almost like the universe makes you an offer, right? The universe gives us a set of skills and tools to work with, and we have to work with those. And that's what the yes and is to the with the world. My dogs see
Are you
we're in.
sure it's your dog and not mine? Mine got diagnosed with pneumonia this last week.
Oh
Um,
yeah, no, this was my dog getting excited and wanting to come and be on the show. But
Well, mine is also panting, literally panting, and
yeah,
it's because the heavy breathing is pneumonia. So I'm
oh,
just, you know what? I love the fact that I asked you about this because the Yes brand, I now understand why there is this yes comma. Okay.
hmm
And also the bubble, the speak bubble. So for those of you, we're decoding.
and the designer Aram Yousefian, who is the designer who did this logo, made the and stand out in black and the BR in blue. It's very, very clever, very subtle. Yeah.
Yes, it's subtle, hence it needs to be unwrapped a bit. And for those of you who follow me a bit, I'm going to share my knowledge about things like this, the subtlety of the Yes brand. It's very clever. And when you come across a brand that's very clever, in this case, without Hirsch's explanation, we may not have recognized that it was a yes and from improv, but he knew it was. And that's the cleverness. And those who are in the know would also recognize this as an improv statement. And so, what does that say to personality style? Remember, that's my expertise. It tells me that this is a guy who is smart. And don't deny it, Hirsch. I know that there's you're smiling a bit.
Right.
When people are ultra smart, as he is, there's a tendency to be very humble. They don't always own their expertise, but I promise you, this guy is clever beyond clever.
Oh
All
wow.
right.
Well, that's
Now you
very
can
nice
now
of you to
you
say.
can blush and take it from there.
I will accept that. um, because um, the yes part, even whether people understand or not, they get the improv thing or they don't. A lot of people do. I say it a lot, so I share it a lot. But the yes part is even more important because the yes is the positronics. The yes is the can do spirit that I bring to my work with clients. And so the fact that I, have a background in using my imagination makes perfect sense because CEOs, founders, entrepreneurs, they don't have to be musicians or comedians or writers or directors. They are artists in the sense that they're creating something that did not exist previously. And that can be said of, Steve Jobs or anybody else who's, Richard Branson, Warren Buffett, they're not necessarily creating products. Some of them are. Some of them are just creating a new approach to building wealth. It can be anything, but they're all artists in their own right.
So this style, which I label with the number 8, and for those of you again who have been following my material, the numbers refer to how many touch points, how many contacts that person needs before they're able to make a buying decision. And so the number 8 buyer starts with 8. And I always joke, put the 8 on its side, it's the symbol for infinity. They start with 8 touch points and they continue because they are always searching out, asking questions, researching, gathering information, which is why they tend to be so smart. They're always thinking, they're always developing. And as Hirsch, you just said, it's a creative process. These are your inventors, the Tesla of the world, right? Because they continue to take in information, they continue to learn, but their minds are creative and they rearrange the puzzle pieces into a new configuration. And so, Hirsch, that is why you have expertise as a branding specialist, the message specialist.
Yes. And that's why I think the sales whisperer and you, Nancy, go hand in hand, because you're bringing the sales technique and the science of personality to bear in a situation where your clients need to get to know their client. And they have to know the personalities they're dealing with. And so your ability to help them diagnose that and apply their skill set to the person they're trying to form a business relationship with is invaluable. It's incredibly necessary. I now, since I've known you, I have started to recognize the types, the personality types that you're dealing with and always outlining, and I am much more comfortable talking to people because I used to think either I get along with them or I don't. Can you talk a little bit about, because the extemporaneous nature of what we're talking about today, improvising, thinking on our feet. Talk a little bit about getting to know a personality as you're dealing with them in the moment.
Well, everything is in the moment. That's all we have is the moment. And to go back to that number 8 style, who is very creative, depending upon what their second style is, they may or may not be into improv. And so the improv style, Hirsch, actually comes from what I call the number 2 style. And remember, the numbers indicate how quickly someone can make up their mind. Our number 2 person makes up their mind in 1, at most 2 contacts. So as you can tell, they are quick. They're ready to go. They want it off their plate. They are action takers. They are highly decisive people, fast thinkers, fast talkers. Doesn't that make sense that they would be good with improv?
Yeah, yeah, and when you have the people who are already, let's say your customer, that they're already thinking on their feet, they're already very decisive. Sometimes that makes it really easy if we're prepared for that. What are some of the challenges, some of the personality, some of the 4 and the 6? And what I know we talk about it a lot, but I think it bears repeating. It takes time for people to absorb the different personalities. Talk a little about 4 and 6.
Okay, so what Hirsch is alluding to, again, there are 4 personality styles. They actually are linked to the 4 quadrants in the brain. And after 35 years of research, not entirely my own, my colleague, Mary Peckus, she discovered that there are, as I mentioned, certain amount of touch points needed before someone goes forward and makes a decision. So I give the 4 styles, the numbers 2, 4, 6, and 8. Hence, those are the amount of time, touch points needed for someone to decide. So our number 4 is fairly fast. They make up their mind in 2 or 3 contacts. They need one additional contact, which is why I've given them the number 4, because this is the person who gets buyer's remorse. They get cold feet. They go back and they reflect on, well, what happened? Was I too impulsive? And they want to pull in the reins, and hence they're the ones who will return things or no show. They don't like conflict, so it's a lot easier just to not show up. And then so I'm going to pause there and see if you want to speak anything more about that before I go on to the 6.
Well, that's an interesting one, because what I'm finding is that it's not my job to change anyone or convince them of anything, or believe that I'm a good fit for them as a message therapist, or that I will solve their problem. I think that it's really just about identifying and accepting people,
Yeah.
meeting them where they are,
So
meeting them where they are.
that
And
is the fundamental thing of being in improv, right? Meeting
yeah,
people where they are. That yes, and someone tosses you the ball, and you, to the best of your ability, you catch it. Now they thought they were throwing a tennis ball, and you caught a basketball, or maybe it was a marble. I mean, and so you get to determine now what kind of ball it is, and when you toss it back. Again, you may have tossed back the golf ball and I've gotten a football. So that is what improv is about. And for those of us who, you got to think on your feet. If you're an entrepreneur and a small business owner, there's a good chance that you've been thinking on your feet and you've been in improv mode for a long time. And whether you feel good about it or not, well, again, it may depend upon your personality style. And so I'll briefly touch on that number 6 style. The number 6 is a person who likes certainty. They dislike surprises. They like things to stay the same. They believe in stability. So, Hirsch, you think they're going to enjoy improv?
yeah, and it
Not so
depends,
much.
because very much like the astrology, the zodiac, very
Yeah,
much like the zodiac, people have different qualities. So
that's right.
some are a 6, with a 4 rising, or it can be that that they want to play.
Yeah.
I have had that happen on the show, where I would bring CEOs on and say, look, we can play with your brand here. We can play a game. We can do a thing. And it just didn't work, because that 6 is holding them back. They want to, but the 6 is holding them back.
Yeah. Yeah. And so, hence, this is the reason why Hirsch and I are having so much fun collaborating, because what he brings to the table, what I bring to the table, absolutely go together. Understanding your brand, messaging your brand, a lot of that has to be based upon who is your ideal prospect, who are you trying to reach. And of course, some of that is who you are, because we play best with people who are like ourselves.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, we do.
So,
And I find that the more I'm using some of uh, your methods, the more I'm enjoying coming into personality traits that I had also not been using. Sometimes when you're meeting with someone who's an action taker, someone who's immediate in their decision making, and someone who they ask the right questions. They do have to ask certain questions, but they're ready right then and there to make decisions in their life. That's inspiring to me, because I've been both. I've been someone who's made the decision, but taken that little extra, been a 4 and taken that little extra time, and I recognize in myself the, wanting the stability,
yeah.
wanting the security and wanting the surety and all of that. And so but I love when people bring out in me the excitement, enthusiasm, immediate decision making. Let's do it. Let's go for it. If we do it now, if we feel good about it now, we're gonna, and we've asked all the right questions. We're gonna feel good about it tomorrow. So.
Okay, well said. So, folks, if you're wondering what you are, 2, 4, 6, or 8, guess what? We are a combination of all 4 styles. Usually there's one that's dominant when we're making a business decision, but there could be a second or even a third style that is more prominent when you're in a social environment. 70% of the population actually go between the 2 styles or more. So there's a good chance that you're not just a unistyle. And if you're curious to know about it, improv time, drop a message here. I do have what's called a lead magnet. And so if you're interested in knowing what your style is, I'll share that with you so that you can get an analysis and description of your style. Any last thoughts before we sign off?
Just to reinforce that last comment that you made about knowing your style and learning your style, because I think there are a lot of us who are out there kind of floating, trying to fit in, trying to attach ourselves to a trend, trying to attach ourselves to an answer. And the answer is always in here. And it isn't always, though, accessible to us at will. We don't always know who we are or what our style is. And it's okay to ask for some help, get some help, avail yourself of Nancy's lead magnet, because the more you know about yourself, the better you're going to be selling to others.
All right. Amen. So to your sales success, Dr. Nancy Zare, the LinkedIn and Sales Whisperer.
And Hirsch Repun, the Message Therapist.